Hello folks, this is Jamil for Gun Stock Reviews. We're here in Phoenix, Arizona, Enlo Custom Guns with Marty. How you doing, Marty?
Good.
Okay, it's project time again at Marty's place. And what are we doing here? Well, we have a Remington barreled action that came from...
A Remington SPS? Yeah. Okay.
SPS 308. The bolt is here. The stock has been disposed of. I think, you know, Fido here used it as a chew toy, which is just about the only thing you can do with that stock.
Yeah.
And what do we have here? We have the Pro 700 Lite SA Stock from Magpul and a loopholed 20 MOA short action rail mount and a Surefire brake here. And it's a Pro Comp in 308. And we're going to put it all together here. But before that, Marty, you're going to chop the barrel down to 18 inches, we decided. And you were telling me all about accurizing these actions because they're not exactly too kosher.
It's been a thing for years. For Remington 700s, one of the reasons why they grew really popular was because they were something that could be trued very easily. Rifle receivers in the past weren't always straight, and Remingtons are a great example of that, where it's like, okay, they were being mass produced and just kind of put out, and yes, they're fairly accurate guns, but what would take an ordinary 700 and, you know, a gun that, especially when it was originally made, probably would shoot, you know, qualifiable 4-inch groups at 100 yards and make it a half-inch gun all day. You know, and it's not to say that every Remington 700 is bad, but when we accurize, when we true the action, we tighten up a lot of the tolerances. The receivers themselves, the front of the receivers, are not exactly square with the threads. So the threads in the receivers, where they're cut and where the receivers cut, they can be off at an angle. The bolt lugs, sometimes when the tooling wears out, the bolt lugs inside the receiver can have a lot of tool marks, can be rounded, and so you may not actually get full contact on the bolt lugs when they seat in the gun. In fact, sometimes you might only have one that's touching. That's one of the reasons why when you accurize an action, right, you would machine the bolt lugs themselves, right? You would machine the receiver face. I end up usually I chase the receiver threads, because even then the tooling in there can be worn out. So we chase the receiver threads with an oversized tap. And I also surface grind the recoil lug, and these were build techniques that we had been doing. This actually came from Robar when I was building rifles there, but this system actually came from Gail McMillan. And Gail McMillan, you know, world record bench rest shooter, created the McMillan Rifle Company as well as the McMillan Stock Company, and these were the methods that he was using to accurize actions. And so, if you have a Remington 700, it's not to say that it's a bad gun, but if you're going to do any sort of work to it, I mean, yeah, it costs some money, but at the same time, you end up with a much better rifle in the end. One of the things you do have to do is that you do, let's say we're to rebarrel a rifle, you might as well just have it accurized. Once it's done once, I mean, that's really it. But like say, we're trying to get full contact with the recoil lugs. We're trying to tighten up the chamber tolerances, and in doing so, you're really just you're eliminating a lot of the slop in the action. You're eliminating the slop, say, excess headspace that you might have accuracy issues with. Once again, you could open up headspace as you get contact from one lug to the other as the gun wears in. You'll open up headspace quicker. That's another thing, right? And then, you know, another thing that's going to have to happen as a result of that is we're going to have to set the whole barrel back. And once again, factory rifle barrels weren't always necessarily all that great, but the thing is that sometimes their shoulders weren't necessarily true with their threads either. And so that's another thing, that just say accurizing the barrel. When we set the barrel back, we usually do it 1 or 2 turns. when you set the barrel back, you end up rechambering it, and you know, sometimes you even see stuff with that. But really, the thing is that that's why it's recommended that you accurize an action whenever you replace a barrel on a Remington 700, or if you're replacing a barrel and putting, like, say, something like a match grade stainless on there as well. And you know, these are factory barrels. They're buying them in bulk and at low cost, right? They're not as clean as something like, say, a Bartline or a Lilja, where they've been meticulously machined and then hand lapped to make sure that there's no tool marks or burrs in them at all, right? So that's one of the reasons why we kind of pay attention to these things, but the crown is one of the last things in there, right? When we're chasing accuracy, we're trying to get consistency shot to shot. We want that bullet to go in the exact same spot. Sometimes we rely on bedding, sometimes we rely on match grade accuracy, but also remember that the chain of events that's happening when the bullet enters the rifling to when it exits is always going to determine your repeatability. Well, if there's an obstruction in the bore, or if there's an uneven crown, that could create an oscillation, some sort of imbalance in the bullet, and you might see your groups open up. So these are ways that we chase accuracy to, I'd say, set ourselves up for success. Now, some people might say, hey, you don't have to do all that. Yes, I agree, maybe you don't. At the same time, if I run through all the steps and stages, it's a system that works, and it has a proven reliability record, and that's going from every rifle that I ever built for police departments, military units, or just regular people who wanted guns that shot well. So that's one of the reasons why I look at Remington 700s. I say, yeah, they're a go-to, but I accurize almost every single one.
Okay.
So,
well, that's great. That's a great place to begin with, so that we, after we spend all this effort putting it in here and cutting the barrel down and that we don't end up with a rifle that is going to be disappointing in performance. That would be a shame. So, two things I forgot to mention. This kit comes in with magazine and an extra grip, and we are using the new Timney trigger that is pretty much non-adjustable, set from the factory at 3 pounds. Is exactly like the one that you get from Timney for the Remington 700, but this one doesn't have the screw holes here for you to adjust it. It makes a whole lot simpler to work with. It's 3-pound trigger pull, but you don't have the adjustability, but then again, also takes it away from the irresponsible shooters who will tune a trigger pull to 5 ounces and then have a unfortunate mishap. So this is great. We're going to go ahead and install that too. And Marty, this is one of those things that when you work with a gunsmith, guys, understand this. All that he said doesn't happen in 1 hour. No. This is something that is going to take some time. It's probably going to be a while since you see the results of this rifle. Hand it back to me, and we take it to the range and sight it in and get it going. You recommend that when I get this, get some good ammo, good match ammo, and sight it in at 100 yards. Yes. Right? Yeah. And also, get a good scope for it.
Get a good scope.
Yeah, don't get a, a bargain basement, Amazon 1999 scope.
Don't get something made from Chinesium. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's plenty out there, but the thing is at least get a quality one. How about that? Yeah.
Get a quality one. Well, guys, let's get ready to look at this project when it's done. But like always, guys, thanks for watching. Please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. And please remain healthy, stay safe, and definitely have fun at the range.